Hello, and welcome to Aztecs Talks, your go-to podcast for exploring the language learning world. My name is Patrick, and today we are going to look at the languages that are most spoken around the world. So we're going to look at the ones that are most frequently spoken, the ones that are spoken by the most people around the world, and what makes them so important. Language is more than just a tool for communication. It's a bridge between cultures. It's a means of conducting business, a gateway to understanding different perspectives as well. Doesn't matter if you're a traveler, a business professional, or just curious. Knowing which languages to speak and which cultures to identify with can be incredibly valuable in any style of communication. So let's start by looking at the big picture. Let's look at the most spoken languages by sheer number of speakers. So when we talk about most spoken languages in the world, we usually categorize them by total number of speakers. This includes both native speakers and those who speak it as a second or even third language. So let's break down the top three. Let's see if you can guess the language simply by hearing a dialogue.
如果你说英文，你就出局。
是真的，
那是我的主意。我想在吃年夜饭的时候，不要只有我一个人说国语。
是真的，
你只知道说那一句国语吗？
是真的。
So, did you get that one? Of course, it was Mandarin Chinese, and it tops the list with over 1.1 billion speakers worldwide. It's the official language of China, and it's the world's most populous country, and it's also spoken in Taiwan, in Singapore, and among Chinese people that live all over the world. Mandarin Chinese continues to grow in its importance as China and their economy is, as everyone knows, it's incredibly important globally. So understanding Mandarin, even at a basic level, can really help you in your business ventures as much as anything else. Let's look at the second most spoken language. Can you understand what it is and maybe where people most speak it in the world?
No, there's no a TikTok for Monocle's big man. I know you're coming auto peely wally up there, but I'm going to have you doing your skate faster than a whippy gets a hard on, okay? What?
Did you get that one? So, of course, it is English, the language in which I am speaking to you right now. And there are around 1 billion speakers of English worldwide. And what makes English so important and quite unique is that it is the business language, the international language that crosses cultures. You will see business transactions taking place between someone from the Netherlands and someone from India, or someone from the UK and someone from Latin America. It's very, very common that English is the common language that is spoken between countries and between continents. So where English is spoken the most, of course, in the United States, in the United Kingdom, and also Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, and all of those carry very different accents as well and different styles of English. So if you decide to learn English, you will need to also take into account those very different accents that come with it. So yes. Knowing English, having a base of English is essential for communication in the business world, and also if you're traveling. So if you want to travel to any European country, I think English will be incredibly important. Let's move on to the third most spoken language in the world, and see if you can firstly guess the language, and maybe if you know where it is most spoken.
सुशील, हमारा बेटा बहुत कुछ सिखाता है हमें। वो पापड़ कैसे रोस्ट करते हैं, वॉशिंग मशीन में सब कुछ धुल सकता है।
So, did you get it? Maybe a little bit more difficult, but that language is Hindi, and there are around 600 million speakers of Hindi around the world, and it's primarily spoken in India and in Nepal. However, with India's growing presence in the world of business and economics, Hindi is becoming more and more important. Although in India, English is an official language, So if you are doing business with India or people from India, it's very probable that that they will have a grasp of English as well. But Hindi, an incredibly widely spoken language across the world, not just in India, and yet it's becoming more important as there are more business interests coming out of India. So now that we've covered the first section of this podcast, the most spoken languages, let's turn our attention, let's put our focus on the languages that are most frequently used in business. Okay, so the ones that we've spoken about already mentioned a little bit about their importance in business, but let's see how that can change when we're specifically talking about business and not just about travel, about culture and aspects like that. So let's listen to these little extracts, these little dialogues, and see if you can again understand the language that is being spoken, or identify it at least.
Right. What did he say?
He said, how's his edge, huh? He only chopped him down because he couldn't see the view no more. What's he Mundo?
What did he say?
He said an edge is an edge. He only chopped it down because it spoiled his view. What's Reaper moaning about?
So, of course, again, that one was English, and as we mentioned before, English is the international language when it comes to business, and I'm sure you have seen in job descriptions and requirements that English is essential. Even if you are not speaking English every day in your job, having an understanding of English in terms of jargon, technical words to do with your role that could be in English, it's incredibly important that you have a grasp of it. And like I said earlier as well, those international communications, that you could be a Spanish person talking to a German person, but the common language in business is English. So it's something to certainly consider as you proceed in your career. Let's look at the second most spoken language in business.
我看你还在玩那个游戏啊。
昨天晚上我们平手，但是只能由一个人赢。
对啊，只能由一个人赢。
So, we heard that one again before as well. So that one was Mandarin Chinese. So, of course, as we mentioned before, the ever-growing Chinese economy and increased business interests across the world in China, it's incredibly important that that we have a base of Mandarin Chinese if you want to do business in China, to travel to China in order to do any kind of business there. So yes, bridging that cultural gap and that language gap is incredibly important whenever you're considering doing business or traveling somewhere like China. Let's look at the third most spoken language. See if you can identify it.
¿Qué pasa, tío? Ah, te está llamando un follón de veces, pero que no me coge el teléfono. ¿Y dónde está? ¿Estás metido?
So, did you get that one? It is Spanish, of course. Spanish is another powerhouse in the business world. There are 460 million speakers across the world. It is spoken in Europe, in parts of Asia, and also in Latin America and the US as well. It's an incredibly important language for business interests in the US and in Latin America in particular. For businesses looking to expand in Latin America or tap into the Hispanic market, and also in the United States, Spanish is absolutely key. It is essential. Doesn't matter if you're in agriculture, in manufacturing, services, Spanish opens up a vast and diverse market in that part of the world. So that begs the question, if you're considering learning a language, which one do I choose? Well, that of course depends on where you want to travel, where you want to work, where you see yourself living in the future. All of these depend on your own lifestyle and what you want to do. However, there are some more useful than others when it comes to career progression, travel, that kind of thing. So we will identify some of those and just talk about their importance a little bit. Okay, so let's look at the first one that we would recommend learning to anyone who wants to do business or travel.
Excuse me, sorry, do you speak English?
No, I don't, sorry.
Oh. My car's broken down and I wondered if you could tell me where to find a garage.
Yeah, well, you know, that's wasted on me. I don't understand what you're saying.
And that one, of course, is English. So even if you already speak English, improving your proficiency can offer so many benefits, especially in business and through studying and through academia. The better you are at English, the more opportunities and doors that are open to you. It's as simple as that. And yes, so if you're looking to progress your career, having proficiency in English is incredibly important. Let's look at the second one.
嗨，我是刚刚那个。我的天哪！你这是要一个人吃的是吗？对，一份。就一份。一份就好。哦，对。
So, this one is Mandarin Chinese, of course, and it can be challenging in nature due to its completely different nature to Spanish, English, French, where grammatical structures and grammar rules have their similarities. But of course, as we mentioned earlier, its importance on a global scale in terms of communicating and being culturally aware of China, and when you go there, or if you go there, if you do business there, having that base knowledge is vital if you want to travel there or work. That's for sure. Let's look at the third language that we would suggest.
Hacho, hermano, pero ¿tú dónde estabas? Que te llama un montón de veces y no me coge el teléfono. ¿Estás bien o qué?
And it, of course, is Spanish. So Spanish is often considered as one of the easier languages to learn. Certainly where I come from, Spanish and French are languages that we are offered at school. And yes, when you begin to learn it at a younger age, it certainly becomes a lot easier. And also because of the nature of pronouncing words exactly how they are spelt, more or less, makes Spanish very accessible for certainly people or languages that share an alphabet with Spanish. They can relate to the pronunciation of it. And in terms of the usefulness of it outside, we've already mentioned business interest or traveling interests in Latin America and also in the United States. Yeah, it's an incredibly important language, particularly the further south you go. For example, in Florida, there are some entire communities that only communicate in Spanish. So going there and also going to Latin America, of course, speaking or having a knowledge of Spanish is vital. Let's take a look at the fourth suggestion that we have for you.
أنا بحكي شوي. أنا كنت زي ساكن في الأردن من زمان بس بعرف اللهجة السعودية مختلف شوي. أنا من أمريكا.
And this one we haven't seen yet, but it is an incredibly important language on the world scale, and it is Arabic. And Arabic is spoken by 310 million people across the world, across 22 countries, across the Middle East and Africa as well. And it's one of the 6 official languages of the United Nations. So that shows its importance on a global scale for global matters. And yes, as business interests increase in the Middle East and in Africa, having a knowledge of Arabic is incredibly important. And of course, when you are learning Arabic from the beginning, you're learning a totally new way of writing, like in Mandarin Chinese as well. You will have to learn the alphabet from zero, and yes, it's a totally different aspect of learning languages. It's not like a Spanish person learning English or an English person learning French. It's certainly more challenging, and you are starting genuinely from zero. So yes, it's a challenging one, but an incredibly important one when it comes to being able to communicate globally, because it is such a commonly spoken language. But yeah, that one we haven't mentioned that is incredibly important. And let's look at the final one before we wrap things up. Can you guess what it is?
Poisson du jour is a loup de mer bleu en versant, served with a plumeur verte de cochon de Piemonte. That is served on épée de gendarme de Philly au pain, and also served with luminette rouge.
And that one, of course, is French. So French is spoken on 5 continents across the world. It's an official language in 29 countries. It has a huge influence, of course, in France, Austria, Switzerland, and also in Northern Africa, and also in Canada, and across other countries in the world as well. It's also one of the official languages of the United Nations, expressing its importance again. And yeah, it's incredibly widely spoken, and it's an incredibly important language culturally to communicate with, particularly French people. If you do business in France, or if you want to travel there, understanding the basics of French is incredibly important. It's like going to the UK and not speaking any English. It's a challenging place to involve yourself culturally if you don't have that base. So yes, French, another incredibly important one that we would recommend learning if you ever want to have any involvement with French people and the French culture. So to wrap up a little bit, so we've talked about quite a few languages there. We talked about English, Spanish, Mandarin Chinese, French, Arabic. Of course, all of these are incredibly important in their own ways, and deciding which one to learn is entirely dependent on how you want to develop your career. So, of course, we would suggest that having a base of English will stand you in good stead. It will prepare you well for most business interactions that you would have, at least in Europe. But those other languages, those non-European languages that are becoming more and more important as we become more global as employees and as workers, and as travelers as well, then these languages become more important on a personal level as well as a global one. So remember that learning a language is more than just a skill, more than just something you can put on your CV. It's investing in your ability to connect with people in the real world, and to be able to identify with cultures across the world. So whether you're seeking a new career, or planning to travel, or just want to challenge yourself, picking up a language can be one of the most rewarding experiences, and being able to communicate naturally with people of that language is an incredibly rewarding and satisfying experience, and that is for sure. So we'll finish there, and I just want to thank you for joining me today. I hope that this was valuable for you, and be sure to subscribe to this podcast so you will know when it is coming out, and leave us a review for something that we can improve on, or something that you would like to hear in future episodes. So don't forget to follow us on social media as well, and yeah, be part of any insights that we share, not only on this podcast but also on social media, and on LinkedIn and Instagram as well. So I have been Patrick, and this has been Aztec Talks, and thank you for joining me, and we'll see you next time.